Healthy foods don't have to be boring. Let me show you some ways to make them even tastier. I'm Susan Bowerman, registered dietitian, and you know, when I talk to people about eating healthy, one of the things they often say to me is, oh, healthy foods are so boring, plain vegetables and plain fish and plain chicken. Well, they don't have to be plain, but I think people are reluctant to put seasonings on their foods because they just don't know what to do. In reality, what happens is we've relied so much on salt and sugar to make our foods taste good that we really don't know what to do with the things that are healthy. So let me show you a couple of things. Let's start with fruit. You know, fruit, of course, is healthy on its own. I think it's a lot more enticing, though, when you make a fruit salad. So one thing you can do is just make a mixture. It'll make it more appealing to your eye and certainly to your palate as well. The other thing I like to do with fruit is just squeeze a little bit of fresh lime juice right on top. It just seems to bring out the sweet flavor of the fruit, that tartness, just a little sprinkle there. The other thing you can do is try some spices on your fruit. I've got a little bit of nutmeg. I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit on there. It just takes it from everyday to something a little bit more special. The other thing I really like to do with fruit is to make a yogurt dip for my fruit. What I have in this bowl is just some non-fat Greek yogurt. I sweeten it a little bit with honey and I add some cinnamon, and it makes a wonderful dip just for some cut up fruit like apples. And you're also getting the bonus of having some protein from the yogurt. Now, what about vegetables? Again, what people tend to do is just steam up some vegetables, don't put anything on them. First of all, try a mixture. This plate of broccoli and carrots is certainly a lot more enticing than to just look at plain broccoli or plain carrots. But there's a lot more that you can do to vegetables to bring out their flavor. Think about herbs, think about spices, lemon, garlic, flavorful oils, a little bit of olive oil, a little sesame, a little walnut. A little goes a long way, but can really bring out the flavor in your vegetables. A couple of other things you can try. I'm using here just a little bit of crushed raw peanuts on my vegetables. Brings out again the flavor. It's a healthy fat. Or if you want to, a little sprinkle of just some grated Parmesan cheese, because again, it's strongly flavored. A little bit goes a long way on your vegetables. Cottage cheese. People either love it or hate it. I really like cottage cheese, but I like to eat mine savory. I find that most people tend to eat their cottage cheese with fruit and have never really tried it with vegetables before. So here's something to try. Right here I've got chopped up some cucumber, carrots, red pepper, and green onion. And I just like to spoon this right on top of my cottage cheese. It's so low in calories you can add as much as you want. And I put that on top, and then just to bring out the flavor, the only other thing it really needs is just a few twists of some fresh black pepper. And that's because cottage cheese on its own is actually a little bit salty. So you might want to try that and see if you like it better than with fruit. What about plain chicken or just plain grilled fish? People have a tendency, again, just to cook their chicken, cook their fish, not season it. But there's so much that you can do with it. Again, think herbs, think spices, think lemon, think garlic. One of the things I like to do with my chicken breast is to put it on top of some steamed vegetables. So here I've got it just sitting on a little bed of spinach with a little drizzle of olive oil. It's pretty to look at. It's really, really tasty. The other thing is with chicken and even with fish, you can marinate it. And if you have that flavorful marinade before you cook your food, it's going to make it much more tasty. The other thing that I like to do with my chicken or my fish is just top it with some tomato salsa. It looks really pretty, it adds very, very few calories, and it adds a ton of flavor. So that might be something else that will make this more enticing to you. And then lastly, let's talk about whole grains. Again, seasoning is key. So if you're cooking something like whole grain pasta, or here I've got some whole grain couscous. I did a video on quinoa and I showed you how to cook the quinoa using some diced up vegetables to add flavor and to add color. That works really well with any whole grain. You might just do something simple by cooking it in broth. Even that can bring out the flavor. So don't be afraid to experiment in the kitchen. It's something I say over and over again. Healthy foods can be delicious and they don't need to be boring.